Hello, people of YouTube.
Hello.
I am American McGee.
Martin.
And that was Lulu that you saw running around spastically at a crazy fast speed. I'm still waiting for it to catch up here in the preview window. It's
fine.
We are coming to you from the underground lair in Shanghai, China, of course, behind the Great Firewall. So if you would please take a moment to say a little prayer.
Are we muted?
Why would we be muted? That window.
Yeah,
I did that.
Yeah. Whew.
But do say a little prayer to the lag gods that the firewall doesn't give us too much grief today, though it does look like, fingers crossed, knock on wood, we're off to a good start. What are we doing today?
Everything.
Everything. Wow. Is it Put a Man on the Moon Day today as well?
Pretty much.
Amazing.
Review, Patreon comments, prize giveaway, some pirate jam stuff.
There is all of that stuff.
All the usual stuff.
What is it we're giving away as a prize today? We actually tried to look up a reference photo, but this piece of art is so special. Why is this art special?
It was from a Out of the Woods Kickstarter as a for the special tier. This one we are giving away today is Wolf in Granny. As you can see, the wolf is in the granny skin.
Now, I'll admit that the immature child in me decided to try to go. Well, first we tried to find this file like on our Google Drive and other places like that, and then I thought, well, maybe we can just do an image search for it. And I was displeased with all of the wolf in granny. I got what I expected, but I actually turned off safe search. I'm sad to admit. In the hopes that Wolf and Granny might get us like, Wolf and Granny 3, Granny loves it. I don't know. But we didn't get anything horrible like that. We did, of course, get a bunch of people costumes where the wolf is obviously dressed up as Granny. And I guess that's sort of what's going on here. Although, of course, in our interpretation from Out of the Woods, it's pretty literal. He seems to have skinned Granny. And Red Riding Hood has screws in her head.
She does in every picture that Joey did of Little Red. She's got screws in her black eye. Well,
this was exclusive, limited edition art print, but we gave those away to the people who deserved them. But on our shelf here in the underground lair, there has been this blob, this tubes. There you go.
A few more. Hanging around.
A few of these hanging around. How many is that? 1, 2, 7. So we've got 7 of them. Let's give away all 7 of them today.
What?
Yeah, let's be crazy. That means that there'll be 4 giveaways today. 1 at the top of each hour. We'll do 2 per giveaway, kind of, because obviously if you divide 7 by 4, you don't get 2. You get 1 point something. Anyway, one of you 8 is going to get the shaft. So sorry about that in advance. All right. Who do we have in the chat? We've got Eva Marie, I think she was in our Discord conversation.
I think
Crowd design this week. Hello, Eva. And Wendy J is here.
Yep.
Greg and his junk.
One-Eyed Skull, Truth Decay, Hysteria Visual. They're all here.
Missy
Pastel
Matute.
Hot Mess.
That's a good one.
New one.
Oh. Yeah, so quite a few of our insane children are here in the chat today. Welcome to all of you, and also to all of you who may be new to the live stream. The thing we do every 2 weeks, we look at art from Alice Asylum, and we go over our other projects that we're working on.
Indeed we do.
So let's just jump right into it. This is a poster. This is a piece of poster art. People seem to love this.
Good one. They should love it.
So I think this is going to be the art print for this month, for October, the month of Halloween.
Well, it's a special month, isn't it?
Well, it is. And actually, this is a really good topic to hop onto right off the bat, because you found out some bad news with regards to the art prints, the kind of the offer that we made. What happened?
Well, that was this month. But the bad news has now been reversed to good news again. So, yeah, we did have an issue where we thought the print that was going out this month was just not high enough pixel density quality. Turns out there's a few versions of that image on our shared drive, and I was looking at the wrong one.
Oh, so there's
it's all good now.
So then this remains the same. This Cheshire
remains
cat
the same.
Okay. Well, anyway, so for Halloween every year we do this thing where over on Patreon you can get 2 art prints for the price of 1. So if you go over there and do the thing this month, you can get the spooky Alice. I think I called it Hallowed Alice.
Right.
And you can get this Cheshire Cat head poster. Both of those things sent to you in the mail. Special delivery anywhere in the world. There you go. So yeah, that's what that is. I think one thing is missing though. We've had a couple of our insane children point out the fact that there's a bit of misspelling and nonsense going on in this text.
Yeah, I got a couple of those in the comments here.
What are they saying?
Trying to find them now.
They're making fun of us, Omri.
Well, Tabitha, it's not actually spelled Tabathea Smith and Janavi Hurley both pointed out some spelling mistakes. There's it says height instead of high or something.
Yes, that is right here, H-I-G-H-T.
Right, and another one, weeped or wrapped.
Here it's when the world is, and this appears to be weapped. That's not a word. But yeah, I think that this text is actually temporary. Omri did write to me to say, hey, the text at the bottom of the poster, first of all, do we even want it? And if we do want it, what is it? Because he said that he just copied and pasted this off of somewhere and it wasn't meant to be final. So, I mean, I don't know. Let's ask our chat. What do you prefer? Would you like there to be text there? Would you like there not to be text there? Let us know in the chat, and maybe if you're over on Patreon, you can let us know there as well, because that's important.
I like a little text there. A little spooky text for Halloween.
What should it say?
Get bent. Get bent, spooky governor. I don't know, something like that. That's right. Already there, but actually spelled right. And
all right, well, we'll come up with something. And again, if you insane children have any suggestions, something you'd like to see there, let me know. Personally, I think I'd like to see something maybe along the lines of like the shirt I'm wearing today. It has the solve. I don't know if you solve. I feel like it says solve coagula. It's Latin. It means you must first dissolve in order to reform. And I think to further emphasize the witchy, occultish, uneasy feeling that this would give to people who don't know what we're up to here, we might put some kind of like Latin at the bottom there, and then people will think, "What are you guys up to? Are you summoning? Are you summoning the devil? Are you doing some witchcraft?" Maybe.
It looks, I mean, there's not a lot of people messaging in the comments about it, but it seems kind of 50-50. No text or yes text, and it depends on the text.
Well, this is always the problem when we ask for feedback. Oftentimes we get this kind of split down the middle of like, yeah, the thing, and then the other half saying, no, not the thing, I hate the thing. And so it makes crowd design a bit of a challenge. Speaking of crowd, you know, when we first showed off this art, a lot of our insane children went really crazy about this pumpkin head.
I remember.
And so our artists have taken it upon themselves. I don't know if it's on Trello, but our artists have taken it upon themselves to actually do up the pattern for that. Did you see that?
Didn't.
Maybe
I did, but maybe it was in an email? Or?
I feel like it might have been in an email. It may not be on Trello. We'll look. Anyway, we will post up the pattern so you can do your own Cheshire Cat whatsy from the pattern. So I know that that's a thing. It's on the way. We'll post it up over on... Oh, there it is. Pumpkin carving thing. And I knew that was a thing. Okay, so there's some faces. What the hell's that? Is that supposed to be Alice?
No. Doesn't look very Alice-y.
It's got a kind of a
Looks like
a little bit of an omega in the.
Looks a little like Teal'c from Stargate.
Well, so it says here, Alice O'Lantern. Look, if we just read the descriptions that are contained in the file names, I know this is a crazy idea.
Stop being logical, god damn it.
So apparently this is what we're going to print out and carve if we want an Alice O'Lantern. And if we want a white rabbit, we would print out and carve this one. And if we want it's quite a nose.
Like the nose.
Jack-o'-lantern hatter. I feel like that ought to be like a hatter-o'-lantern.
Hat-o'-lantern.
Hat-o'-lantern. Anyway, this is the Cheshire Cat's face that was the original inspiration for all this. So, I think what we're trying to say here is ask and you shall receive. This will be stuff that we upload these files again over on Patreon. After a few days, those Patreon posts do become public. So even if you're not patron, you would be able to get access to that. But hey, you know, maybe consider becoming a patron.
Maybe.
Because your patronage does support the creation of crazy stuff like this. Is that supposed to be an insane child? Not sure what that is.
Maybe.
This is the Cheshire Cat. This is the Hatter. That's a rabbit. That's Alice. Thinking.
Got a heart on the top. Is it the Queen?
No. I'm a little confused. Anyway, so it looks like it's a couple different ideas with it.
So, if Jennifer do these? Because she's in the chat.
It looks like who's uploading them. We should be able to see that. Come on, Trello. I don't know. Maybe Omri. Maybe Jennifer.
Jennifer,
Jennifer,
if it was you, tell us.
It looks like it was Jennifer. Anyway, I have one question. Where is Lulu?
Lulu.
Should we not have a Lulu O'Lantern?
Lulantern.
Lulantern.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, there you go. So that is that creepy poster. That's all the stuff I can pull out of the creepy poster. Now, speaking of Jennifer, if she is in the chat, I'm not sure or not. Yes, no.
She's there. I can see her.
She did do up a couple of very cute t-shirt designs. We actually were kind of holding off on t-shirt designs with her for a while because we're currently using like this print on demand service to do the t-shirts, and they take a huge cut. Basically, when we sell a t-shirt, like we're lucky to make $1 at the end of the day off of it.
It's mental how much money they take from the sale.
And so what we were thinking was we would start up our own kind of printing and fulfilling for that. But we had a baby, and so that kind of has taken up a lot of time. But yeah, that shirt, I think she's already put this up on Mysterious.
I had a look. I couldn't find it. Maybe it's on Mysterious, but it's not live yet.
Really?
Clicked on. I went to product clothes, and it wasn't there.
I just found it in like 2 seconds.
If you go to products,
maybe
it's
I don't
not there.
Why would I do the thing that you've already told me doesn't work?
It should work,
but it doesn't work. So why would I do that? No, I just went and typed hysterical into the search bar there. Doop. Look at that. Search. Click. But yeah, let's do the thing Martin says doesn't work.
Just to prove that I'm not silly.
Yeah, let's not do that. So that's something that Jennifer has been working on. I do want us to do more shirts in the future, but we need to find a better way to get that done. Maybe we'll just let these images prompt what we're talking about. This was in the folder because I did a Patreon update. Was it this week?
Yes.
The Patreon update this week was a kind of like year in review, because it has actually been another year since we started this odyssey of trying to get a license proposal from EA to make a new Alice game. And it was an interesting exercise because it sort of forced me to sit down and to break down the significant events that have taken place since we began this journey. And it's interesting to think that, like, wow, 2 years has gone by. It feels like, or it sounds like it's been a long time. But of course, for us here on the inside, we know that one of the things that's happened that's been kind of the largest consumer of time has been how slow EA is to respond. And so I did write up this post. It kind of showed like back in September 7th of 2017 when we started kind of taking Patreon seriously as a platform to support this endeavor, and then kind of our patron growth in the time since then. So we recently got up to a little over 4,000 patrons.
1,200-ish.
And this kind of recapped like some of the major topics that we've played around with in terms of crowd design. So, you know, we looked at what Alice's face looks like as a 13-year-old Alice, and we established, you know, what some of the domains like this is denial, what this looked like, and dresses and different designs for the cats. But behind the scenes, there has been this timeline, which is, you know, when EA came to us and said, hey, would you like to make an Alice game on your own? And I said, yeah, sure, get out of the way. And then since late 2017, it's basically just been a series of me saying, here's how we'd like to do this. Please get out of the way. And them saying, okay, we'll consider that. And then they'll come back and ask, so how exactly would you like us to get out of the way? And then we'll write another presentation for them, and they'll be, okay, we'll come back. We're going to look at this. And now, oh, hey, guess what? We've changed your biz dev guy, so you got to kind of start all over again.
Excellent.
So there was a really significant, I highlighted it here, but unfortunately I can't give any more details. But we did actually get a very significant turn in the discussion back, and I think that was like August.
Right.
Which wasn't that long ago. And so, and it was a positive thing. Again, I can't say what it was, but it was a positive turn. And then we were told, hey, this is a positive thing. Hold on a minute. We'll get back to you. And so it's now October, and we're still waiting for them to get back to us.
There's a lot of hurry up and wait.
It is. But one of the things, you know, I said here was that I'm actually okay with it as long as everyone else is okay with it, because what it's allowed us to do is all of this art, all of these locations, all of this character stuff. And, you know, I said in this post, normally these kinds of tasks would be handled by a team of dozens over a relatively short amount of time. In our instance, we're a team, which you can see at the top of this post here. We're a team of, what is that, 8 people?
Apparently.
So we're just a small team of 8 people, and the 2 at the top here are basically functionally useless as far as the creative endeavor goes. So it's really just these artists that you see down below. They're the ones that are cranking out all the art, and so, you know, it's a small team, but we're getting a lot of good stuff done.
Indeed we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, super chat time, it seems, from Ray Weatherford. Always gets in with the first.
Thanks, Ray.
Old Ray, thanks for that. Missed out on the design discussion, but listened to it today. Sounds like things are going well. Enjoy the tip.
Thanks,
Do enjoy
Ray.
the tip.
The tip is just great. Very much appreciated. We will spend that on lunch today. Martin doesn't know it yet, but he's going to go with us to the hospital so Lucky can get his first set of shots. And we're going to combine that with lunch. What do you think about that, Martin?
Yay, a trip to the hospital.
Yeah. So we have another super chat.
We do. Truth Decay, thank you very much. Is Thai relocation still on the cards?
It's a yes and a no. I actually have to have this conversation with our team from time to time, because some of them, you know, Alex is down in Australia, Omri's over in Israel. They will ask me, hey, is there any chance we might be relocating? And it seems that it comes up more often when the weather is crap wherever they are. So Thailand comes up. The answer is it really depends on the shape that this deal takes. So for instance, if we get independent funding to do a game based on a license that EA has given to us, then yeah, we would probably go and form a new team, and that would be in Thailand, as has been presented previously here. You can go and look up the presentations that go through all the details for the why and how of Thailand. But let's say that someone came along, you know, I can't name any names, but let's say someone came along who wanted to fund it, and they brought their adaptations, dare I say demands, about where and by whom the game was developed, then the Thailand stuff might go out the window.
Right.
So basically, until we know the final shape of the deal that moves us towards making the game, it's very difficult to say.
So it's still on the cards, but it's also still not on the cards. It depends.
I would like it. I would like it for a number of reasons. One, it's a new challenge. It's something that no one has gone to Thailand and built a giant AAA game studio and a big game. I mean, it was the thing that I did when I first came to China. And it was one of the reasons that I did it in China was, again, no one had done that. And so I viewed that as a really interesting challenge at an interesting time in China's sort of developmental history. Thailand is now, in my view, at a place that is very similar to where China was 15 years ago in terms of finance, education, culture, sort of just a general reform towards, and they even refer to this in a lot of their kind of country marketing documents as the phases, kind of heading from agrarian or tourist into, and so they want to push themselves into kind of a tech/service focused economy, and this type of thing would be a big part of that. So all for that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Eva Marie, super chat with some knock. Thank you very much for the knock.
Thanks for the knock.
There wouldn't be any American McGee's Alice games without you two. Give yourself credit too. Haha.
Aha.
Well, thank you very much for that, but I've only just come along, so that should be mainly pointed over that way.
Yeah,
but
well,
I'm here now for the third one.
It's always about the team, and let's not discount the amount of effort that Martin has to put into the support side of this, because it is a lot when you've got thousands of patrons and they want to know things like, where's my cat, where's my rabbit, where's my so there's a lot you deal with. I see it on a day-to-day basis, the number of emails that roll in, and especially as the month kind of goes through the cycles.
Yeah
So
a lot going on behind the scenes.
there is.
So yay.
Art review. Okay, this was perfectly unbalanced. I'm not even sure why this is in the folder, but
a great pick.
It is a great
Let's
picture.
look at it.
We are looking at it. Okay, here we go. This is something that Omri put together. It's a kind of overview for the work we've been doing on Queensland. Now, of course, Queensland is the area of Asylum that represents Alice's anger. And we have been working on this recently sort of as the focus of our design, art, narrative efforts. And so we got a bunch of concept art, which if you watch the previous streams or if you go over to Patreon, you'll see these pieces that I'm showing here on the side. These are the elements that build out this level itself.
Okay.
And one of the things I really like about what's happening with the game is that according to what has always been my dream and vision of what an Alice game should be, all of the spaces of the world are being represented in blown apart islands floating in space. Finally, I've been pushing for this for a long time, and you can see little bits of it in the two first and second game, but not enough. And so I'm glad to see that a lot of the world is now being shown as these kind of disparate, blown apart islands floating out in the ether. And so, yeah, this is Queensland, and it's coming together quite nicely.
What's that top left picture? That tree?
That?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that before. Are we looking at that today?
I do believe that that's in the folder.
Okay, we'll get to it.
We will get to it here. I'm gonna look at us while we. Because it's somewhere in here. I don't want to skip. There it is. Okay, so it actually started off as a sketch from Joey. And if you go look at over on Trello, there was a kind of inspiration for this, which was a tree which had been hit by lightning.
Right.
And it was still on fire inside. So yeah, the idea was Alice and the Cheshire Cats in the tree. And this was all supposed to be on a path that's leading through Queensland, or the Queen's Domain. It's a burnt up, burned down, desolate, scary forest. And so here you go. This is kind of the sort of final version of this.
Okay, and we have the old skinless Cheshire kitten.
This is the burnt kitten.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got Ye Olde Castle in the back there. And you English kniggets. This feels like somewhere that we'd see the French taunting the English from.
Perhaps.
Did your mother smell of elderberries?
I think all English, don't we, smell of elderberries?
Is that what the smell is that comes off of you?
The elderberry flavored axe.
I thought that was dingleberries flavored axe. Anyway. So yeah, this is an image that Joey did. This is the kind of burning on the inside trees. And this is the path that Alice is going to take, leading to Queen's Castle.
All right.
She'll run into the burning Cheshire along the way.
Well, now I know. Now I know where that image is from.
I'm not sure yet. We haven't really decided yet what kind of representation to do with the Cheshire Kitten. This is among those many questions. We've kind of done a lot of sketching on story and character. Of course, the most recent one has been around the topic of Bumby and his appearance in Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
It's been kind of an interesting one.
Going on for a while.
And I had to ask our insane children during a recent crowd design to be like, okay, let's just chill out on this because we're not going to necessarily decide it right now. And I think the kitten is kind of in the same place.
I think so.
This is kind of her overview of what this is about. You can see the castle through the forest. It's very blurry. And it looks like burning charcoal's in the tree.
It does.
Yeah, we also have to figure out, where does Alice first run into the Cheshire Kitten?
Interesting. Yeah.
You know, we have a Cheshire Kitten here. What's that?
Oh my god, look at it.
What's going on with that? It feels like you've been getting a little bit of feedback on the kitten.
Yeah. Most of them are either sent out or being sent out now.
Right.
A lot of people are fielding their backer kit stuff. So that's good. Still a few stragglers saying, you know, where's my kitten? And I say, you haven't even filled in your backer kit survey. So we can't send it you.
You can't eat any pudding if you don't eat your meat.
We've sent you about 3 or 4 reminders already.
Right.
But yeah, generally, you know, people are loving the super soft kitten. But occasionally, people will ask us about kitten's tail.
Yeah, we have seen that a few times. I'm just going to fix the chat box here while you're explaining that. So what is it that people are saying about that?
People think the tail was made a little wrong. And they send along pictures. Is it supposed to look like this? You know,
right.
And have a replacement or whatever.
You know, I don't remember we ever made a big deal about the tail during the crowd design sessions. And I even remember somebody asked me, like, does he even have a tail?
I remember that.
So maybe we didn't do enough to highlight what was going on with his tail. But he does have this kind of sewn up rough edge to his tail, which when I saw it, I thought kind of made sense in the context of him being this kind of scruffy, bony tailed thing. So we have had a few people comment on that and say, like, oh, this is defective. I didn't really think of it that way until, of course, we got those first comments. Now, we have had a few people write and say that, for instance, the earring was broken in transit.
Yep.
If that happens, write and let us know and we'll get it fixed. And I did see one picture of someone who has a Cheshire Kitten where the arm was like sewn on upside down.
Yeah, and I've seen one where the arm was sewn on kind of like here on his neck. It was like coming out of the front. They are handmade. There are variances, but yes, some maybe a little more extreme than others.
Well, if you get one that has an obvious birth defect, please let us know and we will fix it. Yeah, that I don't know. So what else have we got going on here? That is the Cheshire Kitten thing. You know, it is according to your clock back there. Are you going to do it?
It's prize time, kids.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. It is prize time. So kids, so why don't you fill up the chat with your spam? Do you have a question for the kids?
If you were giving away prizes on a YouTube stream, what would your catchphrase be for prize time? kids.
I was thinking it would be funny if we had one of those little boxes and then we could do a few little sound effects. Like if we had like, it's prize time, kids, and then you push the button, it was like, yay!
One day.
When we become more professional.
Yeah.
So you're asking them what their catchphrase would be.
Their catchphrase would be for prize giveaways on their stream.
All right, well, there you have it. We are going to give away an art print, and you need to spam up the chat with what your catchphrase would be to the kids.
If giving away 2 art prints.
Oh, that's right. We're going to roll it twice.
We are.
So there you go.
We've got, how much did I miss? It's not a very good catchphrase.
That's not a good catchphrase at all. Anybody else? Is spam?
It's prize time, kids. That would be their catchphrase.
It's not very good either.
Gifting now.
We're looking
Party
for original
time.
Stuff.
Get a soundboard.
We do need a soundboard.
We do.
Yeah.
It's showtime. That kind of reminds me of, what is it? Was it Bruce Buffer or whatever that does like UFC or boxing? Anyway, you know the famous boxing, let's get ready to rumble, and they really draw it out and drag it out, and the crowd go mental. Isn't there like one for UFC? They wanted to like get one that the crowd could get behind, and they basically just shout, "It's time!" And I'm like, that's really shit. It's such a bad phrase to get the crowd riled up.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's great. But it's simple, and you can stick it on a T-shirt, right?
It's just so cringy when you hear them shout it.
Yeah, well, I can't really see this chat box due to the...
I have osteoporosis.
That doesn't
That's an
sound
interesting
like a good way
catchphrase.
To blow up the chat.
Spank time, kids.
I also remember that at one point we had someone write us and they were angry because we were asking people to spam. We said spam up the chat, and that person wrote to let us know they thought it was derogatory for us to refer to the fans' comments as spam.
I remember that one. They were
remember
quite
that.
Angry.
And we had to explain it, talk them out of the tree.
Yeah. Like, maybe you didn't see everything we said, or you don't get that that's how we do things here. We're all chummy and friendly and stuff. They came around, though. They did sort of like double down and just wouldn't have any of it.
Well, we made them feel stupid with niceness at the end there. So onward, Font Lord, on the way, Stick Boi. Lucky. Somebody says. Actually, that would be a good one. It's lucky time. Time to get lucky. And then when he's old enough, he could come running in the room like, yeah, and then he could knock everything over, set the room on fire.
Maybe.
Party time. What time is it? It's prize time, spam time, party time.
Vegas. Let's roll it.
All right, we're going to roll it. And you got Sala. Good to see you again, Sala.
Sala.
He hasn't been around for a while. So there you go, Sala.
He's always around in comments. He's always lurking.
Really? Anyway, I hadn't seen you for a while, Sala, so congratulations. You have just won an art print. It is called Wolf in Granny, and no, it is not a pornography. In order to claim your not a pornography art print, you need to scroll down to the description below. There is some instructions there, and you must follow those to the letter and within 24 hours, and then we will mail out your art print. And then we're going to roll it one more time.
Yeah.
He says, I already won. How could you already win? This is today's live stream. Sala, don't make us re-roll. It's going to make it complicated. All right, so now we've also got Mujakina. Say Muha or Muja?
I'd say Muja.
I would say, you could also say Muya. Muyakina or Mujakina. Anyway, Muja, you have also won, and it's an art print, and it's called Wolf and Granny, and it's family friendly. Unless you're not a big fan of dead grannies who are being worn by wolves, and in that
Rip
case,
Grandma.
they're not going to understand that. Does anybody in the chat understand the reference to Rip Grandma? Rip Grandma. All right, you've got a super chat.
Doesn't want it.
Oh, come on. Can we look them up and just send it force it on them? Okay, let's try.
Trying to give people
one
stuff.
One more time. Okay, there's Nina, MyQ. McQ? Nina? Nina, if you reject this, then we're just going to kill prize giving.
Yeah.
We're going to end the stream. Move on. Okay, Nina has won it, and then Taylor. Please, Taylor, just take the freaking art print. Don't make trouble. Okay, back to art review. So we've got... oh, there was a super chat. Wait a second. So Orchid Eclipse sends along a super chat for $4.99. Thank you, Orchid, and says, "Hi, my name is Matthew, and I've been playing your Alice games for years. How do you guys think the White Queen would fit into this game, her role?" I'm assuming we talking about the Red Queen is the Queen of Hearts, the White Queen being the chess queen.
Yeah, we sometimes brain fart about that.
Well, we've got that picture of her, the sacrifice your queen image, and we have actually scripted that out. So if you do go, I mean, I don't know. Let's see if first of all I can just try to do a search like this on Google. So there is actually quite a bit written about this. Go do like a web search. It'll be the first thing that pops up. It's called Sacrifice Your Queen, and it's an image that Omri did, and it actually shows Shadow Alice next to regular pants Alice, and regular legs. And anyway, the two of them are together there at the death of the queen. Now, this is actually the red... Is she the Red Queen or the White Queen? Of Hearts and the Red Queen. Anyway, there's the two chess piece sides here, red and white. So this is going to be, part of the story. Yes, the chess people in general will be in the game. We've got here's a shot from the original Alice. This was the White Queen, the guillotine, and they will come back. And for sure, what we're going to see is that Alice goes to that domain. I'm pretty sure it's at the request of the Queen of Hearts to try to infiltrate and cause trouble, because the two sides, the cards and the chess pieces, are at war in Alice Asylum. So,
and is that because she's kidnapped your rabbit?
There is the rabbit kidnapping thing going on for sure. I think there's actually some of this stuff up on the wiki as well. Did we pull up the wiki today? Sure. But if you go over to the wiki, click on protagonists. I don't know that we've got a White King here, but I don't know that we've got the White Queen yet. But these characters are starting to fill out on the wiki, so you could head over there. We're going to fill those in relatively shortly.
White Rabbit, Red Queen of Hearts.
We're missing the section for the White Queen.
Okay. Fill that in.
So she will be there, Matthew. We just haven't filled it in completely yet. All right. Let's get nuts, says Terry Baker. Sorry. Still on the shout outs for prize time. Yeah. Claim you're not a pornography.
Well, I think Taylor's all right with it.
Good.
They're not rejecting our generosity.
I'm glad to hear that, because rejecting the generosity makes things difficult for us.
It does.
All right. Continuing on, art review. Yeah, this was just, we did ask people to tag about their Cheshire kitten. If you received one, especially if you got one from us via Patreon, there was a special lucky card in there. Did you get a lucky card?
Didn't.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to have to complain to customer support.
You write yourself an email. So anyway, you got a cat, you got a bag, you got a lucky card. It's got a picture of our little boy Lucky on there, and of course it gives you +5 to luck. And we got a lot of people writing in, tagging us over on Instagram with their cat that they received in the mail and their bag. So there seems to be a lot of happy, insane children out there.
Yeah, so if you get one, share it. #Cheshire Kitten. You get it up on here. Shared amongst this lot. A couple of people actually sharing it with their actual cats, which I quite like.
This is the cat with the cat.
Another cat with a cat further down, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice cat.
That cat.
They look very similar.
The cat's annoyed at something.
Probably annoyed at the cat doll.
That's a lovely one.
Well, yeah, lots of kittens out there in the world.
So, super chat again. Brett Keen Individual. Thank you for that. Here's my money, you scamming individuals. Now, where's my bunny? Not sure. Also, be sure to check out my gaming channel, Games You Love.
Hey,
ooh, little plug there.
That seems like a stealthy plug.
It does. What's going on?
All right. Well, there you go, Brett Keen. You got your stealthy plug in. Back to art review. Back to the Queen's Domain. So we did have quite a bit of work being done on these card guards. Now, I found this to be a relatively difficult subject because in my mind, the card guards have a very particular look. I feel like they're one of the really classic elements of Alice in Wonderland.
I think so.
And there's something about them that I don't want to twist too far. Even, you know, when we're seeing them presented in a fairly fantastic place. So we've said that these card guards, these metal ones, they're going to appear in the Queen's Domain, and she's got the sun furnace.
Yeah.
Calling that the furnace. So she's got this furnace that she's using to harness the power of the sun, and of course that's breaking Wonderland. I'm sure it's messing up the warp drive or something like that. And the card guards that are guarding it are going to be metal. Now, I had suggested that we had a metal card guard in Alice Madness Returns, and I thought, well, let's just bring those guys back because I actually quite liked the design of the metal card guards. And of course, these are the card guards from, you know, the previous games. This is the one from the first Alice, and then we had some of the ones from Madness Returns here. Mm-hmm. Now, I like these designs a lot. I like the Madness Returns design. I liked the metal card guard design. I thought it would be kind of fun to have the explanation for the creation of this metal card guard go back to this sun furnace room, and that maybe these guys were sort of the exclusive guards of that area. What we've ended up with is these guys. And and I said when we first looked at them, and I think both you and I agreed, there's a lot of character contained in these guys. I can't help myself. When a picture allows me to flip back and forth and make silly stuff happen, then I have to do it. Anyway, there's a lot of character contained in these guys. I feel like, we said before, they could have their own game. They clearly could have their own story. But I don't know that there are card guards.
Yeah, they're tricky. I mean, they look great for sure. They fit into why they need to be metal, working around and being around the furnace and the sun. But, I mean, for me, it's like, are they kind of too modern looking? Are they too cool looking? I mean, there's some of them that look like cyber ninjas from the future.
Yeah.
In like the last things we did last stream, I believe it was. So yeah, on the one hand, it's a prequel, but it's a modern game. Do they look cool, or should we make them look a bit shonky?
So I want to bring up something maybe our artists could think about. Maybe this will make sense as a point of reference. But you tell me, because this is the challenge of kind of giving feedback, art direction. Sometimes we run into where it's like, well, they're just too dark and they're just too light. And I don't want to do that to our artists. They deserve better feedback when I'm basically saying, these don't really do it for me. So let's look at the teapot cannons from Alice Madness Returns.
Okay.
These guys are made out of metal.
I thought they were ceramic, being a teapot.
Do they not look metallic to you? Like in we did do a ceramic kind of collector's item that is an actual teapot you could buy. But I feel like this if you look at this texturing on here, that's metal.
It does look more metal than that other picture, yes.
Okay, so don't derail me here, Martin,
Okay.
or I'll kick you off the train. These are metal. These are made in Wonderland, and there's a kind of clunkiness. So going back to your point, there's a kind of clunkiness in the details that I feel like I can accept as being Victorian era, girl's imagination. It's got some larger gear elements, but when I look at the art that's done here, like you said, there's so much fine work going on that it suddenly takes on this feeling of being quite modern.
Yeah.
And I also kind of feel like the pasting on of gears as emblems gives it a kind of steampunk, there's a form without function thing going on. Whereas if you look at the teapot cannon, the place where he's got the gear is in the place where he turns. It kind of makes sense there.
It does.
And it doesn't feel like, hey, we're just making something look steampunky by throwing a gear on it.
So the cogs and stuff should be like joints, shoulders, elbows, neck, whatnot.
Yeah,
at least there it would make sense.
Because otherwise, it just does kind of scream to me that it's a bit of, hey, let's throw a gear on something. It's got that kind of like steampunk cosplay thing going on. I don't know what's the comments saying about
Reminds
this?
me. Let's throw an eye on something to make it surreal.
Exactly.
Let's throw a gear on something to make it steampunk.
Exactly. So let's see what the comments are saying about this. We've got art review. Says they are supposed to be a royal guard. Says Lucas. Card guard sounds like when Americans try to say Skarsgård.
Does it now?
Hardcore guards are great. Maybe the armor could be painted and a bit corroded to keep the colors. I think this guy is too mecha looking, says Greg.
I think so, Greg.
I think that is my issue as well. Truth Decay says those card guards are metal AF.
Also true.
They are very metal. I think they're a bit too metal.
Somebody mentioned it. I mean, I see Lucas mentioning it there. I think someone else also said as well that maybe like an extra stage or a bonus stage or like an arena stage or something aside from the main story. I mean, they do look cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone can hear that there's a lot of hesitation in my voice with regards to sort of accepting these guys as final. And one of the things that I said recently during our crowd design was maybe we won't come down on one side or another of this. There can be places where we say, all right, we're going to stick a pin in this and we're going to come back to it when we're in development. Because what I've seen a lot of is when you get into development and then you hand a piece of artwork like this to the team to actually implement for inclusion in the game, by the time they start to build these characters, they've also done the building of the pipeline for the creation of the assets, which means they've put their shaders and their materials into place, and they've done this under the direction of an art director who's saying, right, this is our palette, this is our world, these are our materials, these are our construction methods, these are the things that we would expect to see and not to see. And the art director might say things like, hey, don't be sticking superfluous gears, on a character. By the way, this is coming from Norman, and Norman is a fantastic artist. And I want to stress again, I mean, every time I've looked at these characters, I've thought, damn, these things need their own world, their own story. They work as individual characters. There's no question about that. My concern, again, to be very perfectly clear, is not the quality or the presentation of these on their own. It's how I can see them fitting into our Alice game. It's that simple.
It is tricky. You see something which is a fantastic image and a fantastic character, but I feel bad saying it doesn't quite fit what we need.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so something to think about. Again, I don't want to kick too many things down the road, but I also think that when we get to sticky topic where we're not coming to a consensus. And there's been a lot of places where we're building stuff and all of us in unison are just like, yeah, amazing. That's exactly the way we want to go with that. There have also been topics where we've not been unanimous. And I saw someone jokingly say in the crowd design this week, you do the dictator thing, referring to the idea that it is a democratic dictatorship. In other words, we're doing this crowd design thing, but from time to time I can slam my fist down and be like, no, we're not gonna. But here's the thing, I don't know that it's the time or that it's necessary to put a fist down with regards to the art design or the presentation of these card guards.
I think you're right. There's no reason to rush this decision on this particular thing.
No. So what we're going to do, we are going to take the card guard work that has been done, and again, stressing it's beautiful stuff. I think they're really wonderful character designs. We'll put them into the wiki, and we'll write up some notes around them, and it'll be there. And that way, when the development team arrives on that page, they'll be like, oh, the decision hasn't been made yet, and they can revisit the conversation, and they can do that in the context of all of the natural constraints that are part of the project at that point. They may just be like, oh man, we don't have enough polygons to do all those gears. I mean, who knows, right?
Who knows?
A lot of ways that can go. So there you have it. Does not look like a card. It says Liquid Fairy. Alice for newer consoles, please. It says Horigami.
How I'd say it.
Well, I'm not going to pronounce that person's name correctly if they can't go and look up an FAQ. Take that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? So we've got Kin Jiao saying, yep, as much as I like the design, I agree in the fact that the gear should serve a purpose. Yeah.
It should.
Does not look like a card. I think I've already said that.
Mm-hmm.
Alice on Elm Street usually says smart stuff. This time Alice says, maybe we can save these and make Otherlands game with them after Alice is finished.
Maybe they are future card guards.
Now, we're coming up on prize time. We have 5 minutes. All right, we've got exactly 5 minutes.
What can we do in 5 minutes?
Let's talk about Bumby.
Just 5 minutes. Okay, let's try that.
This is great. So this week's crowd design, as I mentioned, did cover quite a bit on the topic of Dr. Bumby's presence in Asylum. And what we've said is that Bumby would run a toy shop. What else have we said about him, Martin?
A lot about him. He's going to have mechanical hands. He's not going to be spidery, but he is going to live in a spidery hole. Or maybe he's going to look like a human, but we don't get to see his face. There's been so much discussion around Bumby.
There has been, and I think we've stressed many times that he is an incredibly important character. And so the amount of energy we put into him, I think so far has been, relatively appropriate for people's expectations. It's sort of like you wouldn't make a Star Wars movie and then have Darth Vader as a throwaway character, unless you were.
They do that.
Unless you were Disney. That was on purpose, Martin. That was a joke.
Okay.
It was a joke at Disney. So unless you were Disney, you wouldn't make a Star Wars movie and then have Darth Vader as a throwaway character. We don't want to have Bumby as a throwaway character, so we have invested a lot of time in trying to figure out what he looks like, what he does. And so, yeah, the idea is he is the shopkeeper where Alice goes. Now, at this point, she's 13 years old. She's unaware of all the events that transpire in the next two games in AMA and AMR. And she's unaware of the significance or importance of Bumby as a character, especially as it relates to fire and all the other bad things that have happened in her life. So she has this very shadowy recollection of him at all. And that's one of the reasons why what we're suggesting is that he be represented as a very shadowy character. Now, of course, that has dark connotations to it as well. Anytime you see that someone has sort of their face shrouded in darkness, your automatic assumption is going to be, "Ooh, this guy's probably a bad guy." Now that's come up. People are like, "Well, why are you being so obviously on the nose about him being a bad guy?" And my point here is that I don't think there's any reason for us as the audience, especially those of us who've played the other two games, to try to pretend like there's any value in hiding that particular ball. Like, we know he's the devil, and I don't know that we're gonna get a surprise out of it, though I do think, and I said this during the crowd design session, there's gonna be a kind of a realization moment, and we want the player to feel smart about that, but I don't think it can be delayed very long, and I don't think there's any value in delaying it. But there'll be a point you walk into the shop, you'll be like, "Ooh, this place is creepy. What's going on here?" And then you'll realize, this is Bumby's place.
Let me out.
Let me out. But you can't get out because you got to go there to get your weapon upgrades and get your dresses worked on and stuff like that.
I like this image though. I like that it's just like a pile of dolls.
Yeah,
like a big hole in it instead of an actual shop. Now it's creepier and quirkier.
Well, it's
Wonderlandy.
This is showing the rooftop section. So this design motif is something I've talked about with Omri. You see it quite often in a lot of the Victorian era building designs. Now he said, I don't know why they do that with the buildings where they give them glass roofs. I just guessed. I mean, kind of off the top of my head, perhaps because that was a good way to let light into the buildings in an era where they didn't have a lot of electric lights. Anyway, this is going to be the interior of a shop, and it is where she goes to pick up weapons and various accoutrements.
Mm-hmm.
And he is going to be the shopkeeper. And I had been saying for quite a long time, I'd been suggesting that we have the Centaur there as a kind of puppet, and so this is Omri's interpretation of that. Now I kind of had in mind, when you go to those fortune telling machines and there's kind of a bust and it's a little bit robotic of a woman and her arms kind of move around a little bit. I kind of had something more like that in mind. He's gone a little bit further and done a kind of full body puppet,
right?
But I think this is cool.
Yeah, I can see that looking all clippity clopping around and with his strings and waggle him about.
But I can
think
also
it'd look good.
There's a couple of other things I find could be interesting about this. Like, imagine walking into this shop when it's not active, so it's kind of dark and this thing's just hanging there lifelessly. And you have to step forward and sort of the lights come on slowly. You hear some clicking, of the lights being turned on. And it all has to sort of activate, it would give the shop, and I always think this is very important, it gives the shop a character, a personality, and it makes the shop as a physical location into a character, which is always a really important thing to try to do, to get people to connect with, the world that you're building. So
yeah, especially if the shop's got big mechanical arms waving around doing stuff.
Right. So that's the latest interpretation of Bumby and Asylum.
Good one. I like it.
Something to think about. I like it a lot. I'm curious to hear, what the feedback is from our insane children, especially those who've been a little bit more critical of the Bumby stuff. I know Greg, aka Octo Chicken, has always been a little bit concerned about that. Yeah, let's.
Booth Decay loves the sign.
Where it just says sign. I like that too. I've always wanted to release a game and just put it in a brown box and have the word game on the cover. Because I've always been curious about the power of marketing, whether or not that kind of reverse seems non-intuitive, but I think to some degree it might actually work. Have you played game yet?
What game?
Game. Just game. Are you kidding me? You've not played it? Anyway, so do let us know in the comments what you think about Bumby as a puppet centaur.
Is that what they're spamming?
They could be. So yeah, why don't you give us on a scale of 0 to
Just 0, 2.
Yes, between 0 and 2, what you think of Bumby. And I'm not going to tell you which end of the range is good or bad. 0 could be great, or it could be terrible. 2 could be... Anyway, spam up the comments. We're going to try to give away some prizes, though.
We're going to try.
I'm not really... I feel rejected. Nobody wants our prizes.
I don't think we've been double rejected before.
It's pretty offensive. It makes me just want to give up our streaming career, especially after what I saw this morning. So I don't know if anybody is on Twitter.
Rip Grandma.
But I saw that there's a video up there. It's got like 70,000 views. And it is a live streamer. I believe she's on Twitch. And in the comments, someone says, could you do a shout out for my grandmother who's just died? And she literally starts to do one of these sort of like Overwatch or
some kind of Fortnite
dance. Funky dance. Meanwhile, she's like, rip grandma, rip grandma.
You think she generally doesn't know to say R.I.P.?
Do you think that a person who thinks that it's appropriate to do a Fortnite dance knows that it's not R.I.P. that it is R.I.P.?
Well, I think they think that acting like a clown on a stream is appropriate to get views and money.
So in that respect, she did exactly the right thing because I watched it and now we're talking about it.
We're giving her, airtime.
Yeah.
God damn it.
But I would say if you've not seen this and you want eyeball cancer, it is a good way to look, Alice says, wait, what are these numbers for? They're for Rip Grandma. Yes. Oh no, Grandma. Anyway, do go. I think you should go over to Twitter. My problem. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain my reaction to it. It was, this is the state of the world in which we live, where people on Twitch are doing Fortnite dances while yelling "Rip Grandma."
and getting views through the roof.
It is Idiocracy. If you've never seen Idiocracy, go watch it. It'll make you laugh even more at the ridiculous nature of the world in which we live. All right.
Well, so we've got a lot of numbers coming in.
We do.
Don't think we need to really
We're not
go
going to try
through
to
them.
interpret these. No. All righty. Let's do it. We've got Craig Spurlock. Congratulations, Craig. I know he has been a long-time listener, first-time caller. And Craig, you have won Rip Grandma.
Wolf in Grandma.
Wolf in Rip Grandma.
Ripped Grandma skin.
There is, she is actually ripped. So in the comments, or I'm sorry, in the description below, there is some instructions on how to claim your prize. So Craig, please scroll down. Follow the instructions. Do that within 24 hours. And if you reject the prize, Craig, I will send Lulu to your house in person to bite your face off. Next up, we have Renee Galena.
Okay.
And Renee, I believe I'm saying that correctly. Reina. Maybe it's Reina Galena. Anyway, I apologize for butchering your name, but you have also won Rip Grandma, a.k.a. Wolf in Granny, as an art print. So please... scroll down to the description below, follow the instructions within 24 hours, and there you go.
You will get your print regardless of where in the world you are.
Exactly. Alice on Elm Street says, of course you notice my non-super chat comments when I have nothing good to say. Well, that's what you get, Alice on Elm Street. We actually notice all of your comments. We just don't call them out.
We called out everyone's comments. We'd have no time to go through art and
rip
talk
grandma
about stuff.
Right. We are going to do a little bit of a left turn, right turn. We're going to make a little bit of a turn here.
Okay.
Because it is time. You've got to do the bigging up today.
Freaky fandoms. Woo woo. They're the best.
Rip Grandma.
Yes, they are super biggest sponsor. Good friends, been with us for a while, and they have a podcast where they talk about cult movies and games and books and all this type of stuff. So yes, if you're into all that, head on over to Freaky Fandoms. You know, They're on Patreon as well, and what is it? SoundCloud?
SoundCloud, Patreon, iTunes.
They're everywhere.
There's like an icon here for Instagram, for Twitter, for YouTube.
So yes, what's this week?
Well,
The Mummy.
It's actually this month, because as you know, it is the month of Halloween.
What do they call it? The month of... Do you have a name for it?
Monster Mash.
Hmm.
So they're doing a month-long Halloween Monster Mash for this Halloween season. They say happy October. What's October? I thought this was the month of Halloween. Anyway, slight typo there. It is Halloween, not October. But in this month of Halloween, Freaky Fandoms, I think they're going to go through a whole series of Monster Mash type movies. And so they're starting off, with The Mummy.
All right.
This is an old one. I mean, of course, we've all seen it. I've seen the relatively newer mummies. Were those Brendan Fraser? Did The Rock also do a variation on one of those, or am I just confused?
You're thinking of Tom Cruise.
Oh, right.
He did the recent
and I will
one.
tell you something.
I
was on a plane and I tried to watch that and I actually freaking turned it off. I mean, you're stuck on a plane.
It's not great.
It was so bad that I turned it off within the first 30 minutes and I was stuck there. I didn't have anything else to do,
Plane were you on?
An airplane. Those things, they fly in the sky, they go places.
Oh, those.
Well, it would have been at whatever year it was when that was a thing, right? So, I mean, we're talking a few years ago.
Relatively new, isn't it? 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. So I was probably going to the US or something like that. And I remember trying to watch it and thinking, oh, this is awful. And then I went and got it at the not DVD store in not China, because I would never not do that. And I tried to watch it at home because I thought surely it couldn't have been that bad. And I threw open my mouth a little bit. So it was that bad.
Rock did Scorpion King.
Oh, right.
With what is widely regarded as the world's worst CG.
Yes, that was pretty terrible. That was very terrible. Well,
but they fixed that. If anyone watches the Corridor Crew YouTube channel, the VFX artists, they fixed that scene. It's quite good.
All right. Well, The Mummy, this is the original. I believe there is 0 CG in the original.
More than likely.
But if you're curious and you want to learn more and you want to have our friends Deborah and Andrew walk you through that learning more, well, Freaky Fandoms is the place to go.
Where it's at.
So there you go.
Yay.
We're going to continue our detour before we get back to art review. I want to prop up.
Big up.
Something that we work on here that is not Alice. I know that a lot of our followers know about this stuff. That is Pirate Jam. So Pirate Jam is still quite a little ways away. It's about 6-ish months away. But this is where we take game developers from around the world, we stick them on sailboats, and we take them off to Thailand for 10 days of sailing and making games and adventure. You can see people kayaking here. Of course, we get beautiful sunsets. This actually happened right before a giant, massive storm hit us. But that was all part of the adventure.
Yeah.
And so, if you're out there and you're interested in games and you're interested in game development, you don't actually have to be a game developer. Of course, it helps if you know how to use some form of a game creation tool, but there's some out there that, even a kind of chicken could use. So
right, the Game Maker is quite easy.
Yeah, I see that in their marketing campaigns they actually show a chicken in a box just pecking at a mouse, and a game comes out. So so this year we're actually going to try to integrate a lot more of what you see here on screen, which is this sort of crafts type stuff. So you can see this was actually the box from a Thai rum called Sang Sum, and it was cut up into a control panel, and then there are these buttons. These actually came off of my boat because I have all kinds of crazy stuff like that on my boat. And so you pressed on the buttons and clicked and toggled in order to control what was going on the screen here. Do you know how they did that?
Bluetooth?
So I was thinking of all these crazy complicated ways that you'd get this box to talk to the computer.
Right.
And it turns out they just took apart a mouse.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There's already all the buttons and clicking and stuff, and the computer already knows how to accept all that stuff. So this is
good thinking there.
Yeah, this is just a mouse that has been murdered and turned into a Switchbox. And so this year we're going to try to integrate a bit more of this kind of like artsy crafty type stuff with the apps. And that means we're going to have on hand more of the supplies that would make that kind of thing possible. Anyway, the point here is if you're interested in going off to these kind of lovely locations and hanging out with these kind of lovely people, I do believe these two guys will be back again this year. Ooh. And this boat will be back again this year. Then head over to pirate-jam.com. And we are also not only looking for pirates to join in on the fun, but also sponsors. Because, you know, the beer that you see in this guy's hand and the food you see in this guy's hand, that stuff, it ain't, you know, coming for free. So we do take sponsors to help support the adventure. And a lot of that sponsor money also goes to help support people who are coming from, what did we call, underrepresented groups within the games industry. So happen to be an underrepresented group, would maybe apply for that. I believe there's information about that kind of stuff over on Pirate Jam website.
I believe there is.
And there's this about section, tells you all about where we go, what we do, all kinds of fun pictures in there. And then, yeah, there's inclusion policies, which explains if you're coming from a place where you might need assistance to join. There's information about that there as well. And of course, if you're curious to see what we've done during previous jams, there's all kinds of videos from year 1, 2. I can't believe we're going into year 4.
It's happened 3 times already.
Yep, pretty cool. There you go.
Getting bigger each time. It's like, what is it, 6 people on the first one or something?
The first was 6. The second was, I think we had 16 or 18 people during the second Pirate Jam. Last year was over 20. I don't know. You know, there's a kind of a physical limit to how many boats we can park in a particular anchorage.
Yes.
These are the doubloons that we give out each year. So once you've survived the event and gotten to the end, we usually wrap up here. We have a big blowout party. This is the place where I drink so much that I stopped drinking forever. If you're curious where that happened, it was right here on this grass that in one night I drank so much alcohol that I lost my desire to ever drink alcohol again. And we give out these coins. And yeah, so it's a good old time. These are the other kind of tchotchkes, is that what you call them?
I think so.
We give out. This was our crew, or at least most of the people who joined us last year. This was me prior to getting like the worst hangover of my life. Don't do it.
Don't do it, kids.
Don't. Anyway, there you go.
We have a super chat from Alice on Elm Street. Thank you very much for that. Didn't want to send this during contest time. Very wise. Going off what you said about the teapots, maybe the card guard designs need to be simplified. A simple base plate with a cutout design for the body, gears at the joints, pipes, limbs, etc. Yeah, definitely. I think some simplification is needed from what we just saw from the metallic cyborg versions.
Yeah, I mean, Alice, I don't know, it's kind of weird. There's a lot of times where we get to a point where I've said like, okay, we've done a lot of stuff on this character. Let's put that character aside and to move on. And then we're still talking about that character.
We have to. They super chatted.
It is a super chat. So that puts us in the awkward position of being forced to talk about the thing that we've previously said we're done talking about. So Alice, thank you for the super chat. And I appreciate that you did not send that during the contest time because that would be dumb. But going off what was said, so maybe the card guard designs need to be simplified. Again, I think that whatever happens with those card guards at this point, a lot of it is going to be decided by the development team who sit down to actually implement. those characters. And so those decisions oftentimes do come out of sort of the base, the foundation of what the project starts off with in terms of materials and shaders. And of course, there's also constraints that exist because of like the platforms or the budget or things like that. So I'd say that it might make a lot of sense to kind of, put these notes, you put it on the wiki, and then when the team comes around to start work, they can go through that stuff and be like, oh, hey, look, Alice on Elm Street's really smart and always has really good ideas and says, let's do this. And then they can look at how that might work.
Yeah, stick it on the wiki. In the comment section.
Are the notes working?
I believe they're working.
I'm never really quite sure because a lot of times you'll go and you'll look at a page on the wiki and you don't see that there's a lot of notes being made. So under antagonists,
making notes.
Well, so this has gotten changed because what we were talking about earlier is that this whole section needs to kind of get revamped. So I think enemies is now under construction. Yeah, it looks like, look, here's Greg's regarding tentacles comment, which is a fantastic comment. And it has been put into the comments here. So, Alice, what I would recommend is that once the page regarding the cards has reappeared, which shouldn't be too long from now, maybe go and drop that in there as a comment as well. And then that way we will have it for reference in the future.
Wise words there.
There you go.
Do that.
All right. Got another super chat.
Trevor S., thank you for the super chat. How many Alice adaptations have you ever watched? Alice by Jan Svankmajer. Alice v. I'm not saying that. Soviet Union are two of my favorites.
Okay, so Trevor, I've said before, one of the things that I try to do when I'm creating, say, an interpretation of Alice or of Oz or anything else, is I try to avoid looking at the things that have been done before. One of the reasons is that if I were to look at these interpretations, and by the way, I mean, I've seen the Jan Svankmajer, I've seen that, but it was ages ago. And I don't know that I've seen the Soviet Union version. I may have. But what happens is if you do watch these things and then you sit down to make your version of something, you end up having these big chunks where you're like, oh, I can't go there because I saw that they did it in that other interpretation. And there's that, and then there's also the legal basis for someone suing you if you copy something. So you'd have to be able to sit down and say, I had no prior knowledge of X being something that was in that Disney film. And you want to be able to do that while telling the truth, right? So those are the two reasons why I try my best to avoid looking at these alternate interpretations. The main source material that I use is either the original books or the games that we've made. That's about it.
Okay.
Have you seen other versions of Alice in Wonderland?
I've just blanked them out of my mind.
Right.
If you ever saw a movie where Johnny Depp was futterwhacking, it's gone.
That was a terrible, terrible movie. And that made me so angry. It was already too late, though, to walk out of the movie because that was basically the end of it.
The end. You'd already had enough.
Magus says, the notes are working. People just do not use them. Right, Magus?
Use them, people.
Well, not just people, but Alice. You need to speak to Alice in particular.
Okay.
Righty. So this was the toy shop. And this is what I was referring to before when we were looking at Bumby as the Minotaur, but he was a puppet. Now this is the variation where he's like an actual fleshy, meaty version of the Minotaur, which I was not a big fan of.
Minotaur or Centaur?
Whatever. Centaur, Tartar. Let's just call him a Tartar.
Okay.
Luke, you can't go out past your Tartar will freeze before you get to the first marker. I'll see you in hell. All right. Anyway, so here's a Tartar. Bumby as a Tartar, and this is terrible. This is terrible for a couple of reasons. First off, the idea that you'd go in here, where does he poop?
From his bumhole.
Yeah, but like where does it go in this shop? It just seems like there's just be like giant piles of tartar poop everywhere.
In the corner, you couldn't see it from that angle.
Yeah. I don't know. So there's a lot of kind of, I don't know, there's some physical issues I have with
What the hell is going on with that giraffe?
but no, that's not what I'm trying to look for. That's like a bent neck giraffe. I was trying to look for the giraffe, the long. There was this like guy that was really famous. I think he was a long neck. Oh yeah, I found him. Okay. So the other thing that happens when I see this thing, this Bumby, I don't know who else has this problem, but like I immediately got this vibe, which was this guy. I don't know what the hell's going on with this guy's neck. Tucker Carlson obviously doesn't know either, but I just felt like I don't really want to let this guy into our Alice game.
Right.
Something very wrong with him. I don't know. It just so no, we're not gonna have a Tartar long neck Bumby. Because I'd just have to go murder it immediately.
Okay.
So yeah, he's wrong. All kinds of wrong. Do you see it now?
Yeah.
You kind of see it.
I see it.
Not just me. I know I have a weird associative brain problem, but I can't. No.
We did have a super chat scroll past.
Did we?
From John Robledo. Thank you for that. Very simply asks, have you seen the movie Dream Child?
Someone's asked that before.
I have not. I've seen the movie Dreamscape.
No, somebody asked this before, and I think the answer was that I maybe had not, or it'd been a really long time ago.
5 movie.
It's obviously an Alice thingy. I think my answer is no. I've not seen Dream Child.
Here you go, John.
But here's the thing. This is another Alice in Wonderland movie, and so my answer would be I don't want to see this. I don't want to see adaptations of Alice in Wonderland, the story of actual Alice Liddell, which is what this appears to be. There she is talking. What is that?
That.
It's like a kind of like, maybe it's like a rat, like a burnt rat. Yeah, this is all really horrible. I'm glad I've not seen this. Good. Thanks for warning me. Now I'm not going to watch this.
I brought that over for us to watch later.
Now I'm going to double not watch this. Anyway, where were we? We were looking at
the
Tartar's
bumhole.
Tartars in Wonderland. Anyway, this as the presentation for the shop, I'm okay with. I think on the exterior, the shop being like, this is all right, and this is a bit overgrown, and it's probably got tartar shit everywhere, but we clean it up, we get some of the plants out of there, and we put the marionette version of the tartar in there with Bumby and his little spider hole in the background. I think we're good to go.
Like how the shop is just called Bees.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to hide it. This is one of those things, but we should. At least it doesn't say like shop name. I don't know, but we will need to figure this out. What is that shop called? And I'm not sure just yet.
Something with ye olde spelling, no doubt.
Well,
Shoppe of Curiosity.
Shop with 2 P's and an E for sure. Yeah. We'll see. So this was an element of the world that Joey was working on. Now this is the Pool of Tears Alice. Now if you've played either of the first 2 games, you'll know this is a fairly, I guess you could say it's an important piece of the game architecture, because it is featured in both of them.
Remember you saying you'd like it to be in all of them, that statue thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I was kind of thinking, like, I think we started to hit on a little bit of some ideas of maybe there's some story linking the three of them together. So this was the one that was in AMA. Man, look at those polygons. And this was a piece of artwork for the Pool of Tears. I always loved this, and I remember seeing this and thinking, ooh, can we pull that off? Can we pull off, water drops? Obviously, they'd have to move quite slowly, but can we pull off water drops that you jump into? Can you imagine how horrible this would be? It's like combined swimming with flying, with probably flying enemies that are also swimming enemies.
Don't you have to jump from within each teardrop to get up somewhere?
Yeah.
Plus flying enemies.
Yeah, I'd probably just throw the game away.
I'd turn it off at that point.
I think so. But this was the same statue, the Pool of Tears. Crying out.
Now look at those polys.
You know that the other day I posted up something on Instagram, and it had Alice, and there was some butterfly references, and somebody actually wrote a comment and was like, "What's with the butterflies? Those don't have anything to do with Alice."
Did not know that.
I blocked them and banned them. So yeah, this is Pool of Tears Alice in AMR. So now the question becomes, what might we do with Pool of Tears Alice in Asylum? So this is a piece, an element from the Queen's Castle. We were talking about having, there's a section that you would have starting from like the front of the pool here, but going back off the screen where you cannot see.
Yeah.
That was going to be, I think it's called the Tear Maze, or the Maze of Tears.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, so this was, I think Joey might have done a bit of drugs, even though those are highly illegal in China, as the most recent South Park episode highlighted quite neatly. Don't watch that, by the way, kids, and let's not talk about that on our live stream, because we'll get banned in China. So yeah, this is Joey's interpretation of that scene using a bunch of beautiful colors. What do you think?
It's fantastic. I think this might be a future print. Yeah, it's shaping up very nicely indeed.
Is this art print material?
I think it is.
Well, one of the things
I wanted not liking about it.
So one of the things that doesn't work for me is that it doesn't work. It doesn't fit into the color scheme of the realm of the Queen of Hearts, because we have pieces, elements from that zone, which we've sort of established a look and a feel, and somehow this ended up way far off from that. So it needs adjustment. In terms of color, if it's gonna represent that area. Now maybe, I don't know, maybe it ends up representing something else.
Still looks, well, it's obviously not early in the drawing phase, but I think Joey could whip it up into shape to the right color scheme.
Could be. It's a pretty cool picture, though. I will give it that for being a very beautiful and very.
Lucas Severin, super chats, thank you very much, asking, is this in the depression stage?
Well, it wasn't supposed to be. I thought that was supposed to be in the Queen's stage of the Queen of Hearts, which went along with what we saw scrolling around in these, by the way, right now. Here, I'll just click over so you can see what we're scrolling past in case. So this was Denial. We've seen a lot of the pieces that you see here. We've already seen. These are some of the kind of, I guess, toy ride things that Jennifer has worked on.
Yeah,
that's pretty cute to see it like in large scale like that. And there's a water slide. Is that a unicorn?
I think it's just a regular horse with a quiff.
That's Pris's tent. So yeah, anyway. Spidey hole. This is some Queen's Dungeon. Get bent. What if that was our prize time thing? It's time to get bent.
I already like Get Bent as a good buy.
This is little portals. Now, this was actually in the Queen's domain as well. The idea was that these stained glass elements were kind of portals that led between these different platforms. Don't know.
You don't know about that.
Well, I'm just trying to get to the part where we had the overview map. Here we go. So this is the overview map of the Queen's domain, and it's kind of one of those games of like one of these things is not like the others. So if you work your way down here, like burnt, red, dark, burnt, blood, burnt, red, burnt, red, dark. Oh, hey, it's all happy, pink, cute pastel stuff.
Yeah.
So that's my point.
Okay.
It doesn't really fit in.
You can fix it.
It can be fixed.
She has the skills.
She does have the skills. It can be fixed. So, is that a giant superfluous gear hanging off the bottom of the level there?
Maybe.
Somebody's in trouble.
Alice on Elm Street, thank you for the super chat. The art makes me think of American McGee's Alice School Days level.
That was the level in which it like modeled after school. It had a library, it had flying books, it had kind of wooden floors and doors and a little greenhousey laboratory area and all kinds of fun.
I remember.
Yes. So it is time now to get bent. I don't know, I'm just trying that out. It's time to get bent.
Well, before we get bent, Ice Killer has super chatted. So let's not do that during the spam.
Man, does that mean we have to get unbent?
We have to unbend. Shouldn't the statue supposed to be in a forested area like the previous two games? It wasn't particularly foresty in the first Alice, was it?
Well,
on that picture we looked at.
It was in the zone where the kind of beetles and the ants, and it was by the stream, which made me insane and wanted to kill myself. And in the second one, it was in a foresty area. So yeah, you know, it could be that the area is foresty. It could also be that the wonderland that we're adventuring around in has gone through multiple seismic events that have kind of ripped and torn the physical structure and nature of the landscape to the point where pieces show up, you know, like these statues could be thrown and flung about. That was the point I was trying to make in saying that we might come up with a story that explains the connection between the three locations. But we do that here in Asylum, so something to think about.
It is.
Yes. Don't try to bring logic into this, Ice Killer. You know better than that. It's Wonderland. Come on.
Yeah.
Alrighty. It is time to get bent. I like that.
Yeah.
Get bent.
Get bent or get bent?
Get bent.
I'd say get.
Get
sounds a bit American.
Get yeah. Bent. But that's an I.
I know.
That looks like get or done.
Yeah. I prefer get.
Well, let's do it.
What are they spamming?
I would like them to spam whether it's pronounced get or get. Do it. Even try to spam that.
Okay.
Spam whether you pronounce it get or get.
Get.
GIF or GIF.
GIF, even though I know that's wrong.
Anyway, spam up the chat with your preferred get noun.
Okay.
And we will be getting away an art print of Wolf and Granny.
We will. So, anything else in the art folder? It's been a big old art folder this week.
It has. There's all this art from Jennifer, which I think she's turned into T-shirts. There's
that
Bumby.
Should go on a T-shirt. That
there is this Pool of Tears business. There's a cat in a tree.
Oh no, Felipe's mixing it up. We've got Gat.
Maybe that's what it sounds like when he says it. There's me hanging out in Guilin. Oh right, I know why this picture was in this folder. Because we have to talk about my travel schedule. See, I put that in there as a reminder.
Excellent.
And it did the job. Get.
Again, it's kind of Looks 50-50-ish.
I think that's pretty much all of the artwork. So I think once this getaway is done, we're gonna do some of the comments that you've got listed out there.
Yes, we shall.
Awesome.
But for now, let's roll.
We're gonna roll. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Rachel Garza.
Yay!
And Rachel, do not refuse the art. You must accept.
Accept the prize.
You must scroll down and follow the instructions, and do that within 24 hours, and we will send you an art print called Wolf in Granny. And now Vokashi 96. That's a new one. Congratulations, Vokashi. You two are also instructed not to refuse your prize winnings. Scroll down to the description below and follow the instructions. Do that within. Don't tell me to get away. Just accept your prize. Accept the prize. Scroll down. Follow the instructions. We will send you an art print, and hopefully along the way it will not get bent.
Some of them do.
They do. So what is it going on here? I don't even know how you see the difference between these.
Git is obviously an I, and get is obviously an E.
So they're all kind of saying it with an I.
All. Although I do think I started to pull ahead. Just means they're wrong.
Okay.
Clearly get bent.
Alrighty. So there was this piece of art in here, or not art, it was a picture. I mean, I'll admit, I'm art. We all are art. But yeah, this part was supposed to prompt me to bring up the fact that I'm traveling. Next week there wouldn't be a live stream anyway, because next week is the off week. But next week I'm going to Thailand, and that was the thing about Pirate Jam. I'm going there to put the boat back in the water because Pirate Jam.
Has it been out of the water all this time?
It went out of the water in August. And
Right.
what month is it now?
In 2 or 3 months, depending on when.
Oh,
in
not August.
August.
I'm sorry, April, May, June, July. So okay, it's been out of the water for 6 months because it's the summer season, and you don't go sailing in Thailand in the summer unless you're a glutton for punishment. So it came out of the water. The mast came down because all these wires had to be replaced, and so they all got replaced because that's something you do every 10 years. Because it means that you take the mast down on your own with a crane instead of it falling down in the middle of the ocean and poking a hole in your boat and killing everybody on board. So we did that, and then obviously you can also see they're like painting the bottom, and there's some other little stuff going on. Anyway, we're getting ready for Pirate Jam, so I've got to go back and inspect the work that's been done and put the boat back into the water, and then maybe even go out and do a little bit of pre-planning stuff for Pirate Jam. So that's next week. Will
you be sailing around, or it can't be done that quickly once it's gone into the water?
Maybe. I don't know yet. It really depends on a number of factors, including weather, depends on how quickly we get the thing back into the water. There's all kinds of stuff. So we'll see. And then there's this other thing happening that I'm going to in Los Angeles. Now that I'm only gone for a few days, but I think that it is going to cause us to miss at least one of our live streams or crowd design or something like that. And that is that I've been invited by Patreon to go to this thing called Assembly, which is going on. Hey, no, don't pop up stuff. It's going on in Los Angeles on the 2nd, and apparently all these people are being invited. So I've actually met Killer Mike before. He came to Shanghai, and a friend of mine is friends with him, and we went and had lunch. So I'll be able to say hi to him again. The rest of these people I do not know. Well, I know who Patton Oswalt is, but I've never met him before. I've never met this guy. Anyway, so I'm going to go hang out with these people at this thing. And I guess Jack Conte. So I was going to say that if you as a patron have anything by way of a message you'd like me to pass on to this guy, including Get Bent, let me know. Because I'm going to go hang out with Jack Conte in Los Angeles, and I'm going to tell him to get bent.
Yeah. So how should they tell us? In the YouTube comments below?
Well, I think, you know, especially if you are a patron, you would go and you would write that as a comment over on Patreon.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, let us know in the comments below, or over on Patreon. If you want to share about Pirate Jam, let me know. And if there's anything you want me to take along to Patreon's assembly in Los Angeles, I will be going over there for that.
You globetrotter, you.
There you go. All right, let's get to... I know you've got a bunch of comments from our wonderful, insane children there.
We've got some. Let's have a look at what people had to say on some recent posts. Somebody, Lady Fizzy, is asking about the size of our art prints. What is the size of these prints? I like the Halloween one. However, the Cheshire one really confuses me. Weird looking. The face looks flat.
Is that in reference to the new one? This one.
Yep.
Okay.
So, generally speaking, and it depends a little bit on the ratio, but the small side of the print will be 47 centimeters.
Okay.
And the long size kind of varies depending on the ratio, but that's kind of how big they are.
They're pretty big.
They are.
I mean, I suppose a person could get a... I'll go grab one. They're right back there.
Go grab one.
Watch. People can see that this is actually not a green screen. Watch this.
Look at how far back it goes. Hold it up from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Christ your queen.
Not bad, that.
No. Nice art print.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, the sizes are...
And that's actually a sort of another sort of good segue into reminding people that this is a double art print month on Patreon. If you're at the $75 tier, you will get the Halloween print and that Cheshire print. So, excellent stuff.
You have a super chat from Lucas.
Yeah, I'm kind of weird about this one. I feel, why does he want me to say that? Does he want like a copy of my voice? Is he trying to do a deep fake or something?
Well, this is that the thing they do in Mission Impossible where they get a little bit of your voice, and then they fake it to open the vault door. At least he's not ripping your eyeball out.
Wants to get into my vault. Well, so before I go, can Martin say in his awesome voice, somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. What can you make from that?
The lyrics to a song.
I know, but those capitalized ones.
Who knows? You never know with Lucas. Isn't he the one that's been doing all the numbers?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's keep it up with our questions.
Keep it up. Just one here from Maria, just saying, Halloween Alice is gorgeous. Looks like a nice start to my makeup series on Instagram for Halloween. Hope I can join the live stream. They did. Maria.
Don't know.
Don't know. This is something that we didn't actually look at. From Ina, still eagerly waiting my Chesh. He'll be here anytime soon. Love Dog Night on the characters. Dog Night here?
I don't think I put Dog Night up. That was in one of the recent Patreon posts, right?
Yes, so...
That's this one.
Yep. I think the dog should look like Lulu. Lots of people have said that. So she gets her cameo. But if then, no harm should come to the dog. I think we mentioned this in the past. Wouldn't mind putting Lulu in, but in a less obvious role.
Yeah.
Like a dog on a street corner or something.
Yeah, I mean, I've said that in the past. I'm always a little bit concerned about, as a creator, shoehorning too much of our reality into, especially into something like Alice in Wonderland. Because, I think if it was something where it was a modern day setting, in the real world, maybe we wouldn't care as much. But when it's such a fantastical setting, it kind of feels unfair to that setting to jam ourselves in there. So,
yeah. Got some messages here then from the recap post we did on Patreon. Andoni Odiaga Aragaga says, 2 years already. Man, time flies. So many good ideas and wonderful concepts. Can't wait to see the final game in motion. Time does fly.
It's amazing, actually. I can't believe it's been 2 years. And I mean, in the 2 years, the other thing crazy that's happened is that we made this little guy.
To be clear, when he says we, that's not me.
Yeah, it was. Don't lie, Martin. Don't lie. Look, he looks just like you. Really.
More hair than me.
He does have more hair than you.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah, so it has been pretty crazy, all the stuff that's been going on. But hey, we're glad that you're all still here, and we're glad we're still here, and we're going to keep going until we get this thing made. So there you go.
Woo. A super chat, Michael Keys. Thank you very much. Are you adding Humpty Dumpty for a purpose? Are you adding Humpty Dumpty?
I'm pretty sure Humpty Dumpty will be referenced. There will be some existence of that character in the game for a purpose. We've not yet decided yet. Right?
Wendy J, you'll put the design Bible up on Mysterious when the time comes, right?
Yeah. Actually, that's one of those things that goes to an interesting side topic that's been on my notes for quite a while now, and we've talked about this, and that is that if you've been a patron for quite some time and you've reached a certain level, it's my sense that we will owe you some pretty fantastic rewards for your patience and your trust and your support. And in my mind, it ought to be something along the lines of, you will of course get the game.
True.
Obvious one. And then also something like a design Bible. At the end of this, when we're done, we're shipping a game out, and we could then have like a hardcover, a really nicely put together version of the design Bible with your names in there and your notes and all those kinds of things. That's something I'd like us to achieve. So
be good.
Yeah, I think then other people could go to Mysterious and purchase it, but at least for our insane children, those who've been with us and reached some sort of level of support, we ought to imagine that there's like a kind of founders level package that would go out to those people. And again, it's on my notes. It's on a kind of to-do list that Martin and I have talked about in the past of how do we define that list and what is contained at the various levels that would be on that list. It is something we're thinking about.
It's a thing.
It is a thing.
Naility just loves the rundown you posted. Excellent.
Lindsay says, do not kill the dog/animals.
True.
Haven't we brought that up before? We got people angry at us because I said I didn't want to kill dogs.
I don't like killing stuff, like animal stuff in games if I don't have to.
Don't worry, Lindsay. We don't like killing animal things in games. And we actually got yelled at for not liking to kill animal things in games. So, yeah.
This is a weird one, so I thought I'd write it down. From Dew 3. They've been with us for 15 months.
Woo, long time.
And the first line of their comment is, the only thing I am immensely sad about is that it's EA handling this.
We do actually have, there's a section on my YouTube channel that is called FAQs, and we probably need to record more of those. That's a good thing to bring up right now, is that if you have FAQ type of questions, do send those in. You could do that in the chat, not the chat here, probably lose it, but if you did it in the comments below this video, or you do it over on Patreon, or you could even
email it, support @mysterious.design,
tweet it. There's a lot of ways you could get that to us, but the point is, if you go over to my YouTube channel, there is a whole section here called FAQs, and under FAQs, because that question about EA in Alice Asylum, and it's a short and sweet. It's only 3 minutes and 20 seconds long, and it will explain to you the EA involvement or lack thereof in what we're doing here. So please go and give that a look. But the short and simple answer is, under the model where we license Alice from EA and we go and we get our own funding, EA's involvement would be practically zero. So you don't need to worry about. And look, even in an instance, let's just imagine a future for a moment where EA comes along and says, hey, we're EA, we want to fund and publish your game. What I would say to them at the beginning as a prerequisite is totally fine with that, but here are the couple of lines that we're not going to cross, otherwise I'm not going to deal with you. And among those lines would be things like, we're not putting your scammy loot box crap into the game. We're not doing certain things that we know that our fans would disapprove of, because otherwise there's no point in doing the game at all, right? So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that.
So there you go, Dewey. I just find that weird when someone who's been with us for so long.
I like Jennifer's. The FAQ should just be a 3-minute video of us going, ah!
Maybe.
That's anyway, actually a good one. Maybe we should do one FAQ that we just send around where it's just us beating ourselves to death into bloody pools on the floor. I don't know. Sometimes.
And then doing the Rip Grandma dance.
Yeah.
Peter Parker, apparently.
This is Spider-Man's alternative? Yeah. I didn't know. Is he
Spider-Man is one of our patrons.
Wow.
It was actually too big to put down, but basically they expunged lots of love for the Alice series and your involvement. So it's just a big thank you that they wrote. I thought I'd read it out for them because it was a big post.
Well, that's very sweet.
Thank you, Spidey.
Thank you very much.
The Puppet Hands post. Again, I'm sure a lot of this was mentioned earlier. Amy Elizabeth loves the spider hole and the hands.
Do you know that if you just tuned into this live stream at right that moment and it's like, Amy loves the spider hole and the hands, it would make 0 sense at all.
The spider hole.
And the hands.
Mm.
That sounds like a really messed up children's book. Maybe we ought to work on that, just like a children's book series inspired by the random things that come out of this project. The spider hole and the hands.
We'll probably sell. Courtney Sear really likes the spider hole. It's kind of foreshadowy, adds to the eeriness and unsettling feeling. People are loving that spider hole.
I think it's pretty cool, but not everyone likes it. There have been a lot of comments against it. So
Dawn Messner is super in love with the spider hole rework. I wonder what they think of the new one that hasn't been up on Patreon yet.
Yeah, I don't know. We will have to post that up on Patreon. I feel bad though, because we kind of said we had put an end to the discussion, and then Omri sent over a new piece of art. So it's like, oops, I guess it's not really over. And even when we say it's over.
Well, here we have one that's kind of not so in love, from Laurie Caputo. Likes the mechanical hands and glowing eyes, but agrees the spider hole is a bit too on the nose for evil. Keep the hands and just have like a disembodied voice from above.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I've already explained, and I suggest if you're interested in the topic, go watch the crowd design from this week. I did explain why I felt that the idea of him, us trying not to be too on the nose about him being evil, I don't feel like it's something we need to avoid. I feel like we already know it, and we're going to know it pretty damn fast. As much as we might try to hide it, the only way we could ever truly hide it is like completely obscure the fact of who he is, and then only have it come out as a note in the credits, like as they scroll past, P.S. that cute white rabbit, that you dealt with throughout the game, that was actually Bumby. Ha ha ha, got you. I mean, I don't want to go there. He's evil. We know that. And when we see him in the game, we're going to know, like, oh shit, that's Bumby. I know he's evil. get bent.
All right, we'll try to avoid more of the spider hole and Bumby stuff then, since we've already flogged that horse. But Steffi Lynn just saying hi. They've been away for a while, distancing themselves from discussions to keep some of the game a surprise.
Nah, don't do that. That's no fun.
Well, and then mention something about Bumby.
That's okay. I mean, we can talk about Bumby. Maybe
just likes it, likes the hands.
We've pushed that Bumby in front of the train enough. Is that
maybe
instead of we've beat that horse to death, we've pushed that Bumby in front of the train. Bumby.
This one's kind of weird and interesting, only because they also had like a spelling mistake. So this is Alex Nemo. Bambi's presence in Alice Asylum. I just found that amusing, imagining Bambi in it. Bambi's presence in Alice Asylum will be of little interest unless Alice Asylum is a continuation of American McGee's Alice and Madness Returns, and the plot of Asylum is filled with new memories that Alice must collect and only understand in Asylum. For example, the Masonic plot to eliminate the Liddell family.
Right.
That's new on me.
So, if I'm remembering correctly, Alex Nemo is would you say the emissary from the entourage? I think emissary from our Russian community.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. So if you go and you try to engage with Alex, you'll find that he's the one who tries to take what it is we're working on to the Russian Alice fans over on VK, which VK is like the Russian version of Facebook, but in Soviet Russia, book faces you or something along those lines. Anyway, I have found that there are many times where something gets lost in translation.
Right.
When we go to communicate with our Russian fans, or look, sometimes when I just here I found Alex's. By the way, Alex, we're not trying to give you any trouble. I want to be clear about that. But I found Alex's Twitter. He is at VK Wonder over on Twitter. So yeah, as I understand it, he's the one that helps us to communicate to the Russian fans, and then also to communicate back from the Russian fans to us things that they like, don't like, stuff like that. And I think we do oftentimes misinterpret one another in terms of what they like, don't like, what they want, what they don't want, things like that. So let's be careful with that comment. Alex, I've said to Alex before, if they want to have a deeper conversation about what the Russian fans are interested in, our channels are open. Come talk to us about it. You know where to find us. So
yes,
there you go, Alex. Anyway, I do want to say thank you to Alex for putting forth the effort to connect us to our Russian fans, and also say hi to our Russian fans. I'm sorry we cannot speak or broadcast in Russian. I see those comments a lot. Why no Russian?
Let's get Alexander on the stream.
Yes, we could do that.
And finally, from Jesse Saint, just ST, suggesting it would make more sense to actually see younger Bumby as a normal human in the shop. In that time, Alice didn't know what he was actually doing. She trusted him. No.
Yeah, I mean, we have said this about Bumby, that it would be a period in time. It's 10 years prior to the events of AMA-ish. Maybe don't hold me to the exact timelines, but
you said 10 years on that stream.
God damn it! And over here on this wiki, it's not 10 years. It's exactly 8.3 years, especially if we take the notes from the casebook to. Okay. Anyway, it's all happening a little bit earlier. Bumby's not exactly Bumby, as is said in the comment here. How far we want to push that, I don't know just yet. I also don't know if it's critical. I did say this in the crowd design this week. It could be that as we work through the process of defining the game and the story and the characters, that we decide that, oh, hey, there could be a more significant role or linkage or reveal about Bumby. We just don't know what it is yet. I'd like us to continue moving forward and kind of sort of sketching out other elements of the story, and then we can come back to this, to Bumby's role, to who he would have been as a younger gentleman, and we'll see.
Yeah.
But like with Justin Trudeau, it might be that, the more you look back into his past, the more you find that he's wearing blackface and molesting people, even though in the current year he tries to act like he's a really good and moral and virtuous guy.
Ooh.
Who knows? Justin. Maybe Bumby is Justin Trudeau. Oh, we could get him to play. Justin is a drama flash person. Maybe
I'm sure
Justin
we can get the
Trudeau
original guy back.
Should play Bumby. He's not going to be PM for much longer, so he's probably going to be looking for a gig.
Maybe.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, we do have one more prize roll to do.
I was going to ask if you could quickly do that prize roll stuff alone, because
Alrighty, well, I'm going to let Martin run off into the green screen there, and I'm going to wrap up today's live stream, and hopefully I won't flub it all up. So we do have 2 more posters to give away. I'm going to press roll it 2 more times. This is our jib it up time. So let's jib it up. But first, you have to spam up the comments with who would you choose to play Bumby in, let's say there was a film adaptation of the Alice series. Who would be best as Bumby? When I've seen him, there's been times where I've thought that a Keanu Reeves would actually make a pretty good Bumby. As much as I like Keanu, and I'd hate to see him in a role like that, there are times where I look at the Bumby face and I think I could see Keanu Reeves in that role, especially once Keanu puts on a few more years. Might make a good one. But yeah, let us know in the chat. Spam it up with who you think might play Bumby in a film. I think other actors that kind of look like the guy that is Bumby in our games. And, it's hard to say, although there are these web search things out there that allow you to see what a picture, like my picture, your picture, might look like as a celebrity. I don't know if you've ever done that before. I did mine the other day. I tried to look up what celebrity I look like, and it just brought up me. It said, you look like American McGee, so it was kind of useless. The other guy that this kind of reminds me of a little bit is like Kenneth Branagh, British actor. This, I think, is someone that he could perhaps play. The guy here, he looks kind of like the one from Die Hard. What's the German Hans Gruber?
Rickman?
Yeah, this kind of looks a little bit like Rickman.
A bit.
I was saying also Keanu. I don't know, for some reason.
Yeah, I think a bearded Keanu.
But it's also Alice's dad has sometimes looked like Keanu.
Well, true, that could be confusing.
That would be confusing. Alan Rickman would maybe do it, although didn't he pass away?
He's dead now.
Oh, well, he's not going to make a very good Bumby then.
Not really.
No. They do reanimate people these days, though.
They do.
So I suppose. But along those lines, then, since you can make dead real people into CG real people in movies, maybe we just make CG Bumby into a real guy in the movie. That would freak people out. You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to get my head around it.
Well, instead of trying to recreate a human to look like a human using CG, ooh, it's back into the green. All right. Maybe we wait just a second here. Yes, we did see that we completely lost our internet connection there for a second.
And again, we had an almost kind of perfect stream again.
We did.
And then, yeah, just it did a big poop.
So when we started talking about making human characters out of CG characters, maybe that's just not allowed. Deep fakes is not allowed. All right, well, let's go ahead and roll it. I hope that this works. So here we go. We've got Ultimate Legend Lugia.
Oh, come on.
So Ultimate Legend Lugia, ULL, you have won. So that means that you need to scroll down into the description below. stop typing spam now. So I'm glad to see that you're still alive. But do scroll down to the description below. You will find instructions which you need to follow within the next 24 hours to have an art print sent to you anywhere in the world. And do not reject it, or we will send Lulu to bite your face.
No more. We've done 7. How many we've got?
Okay. But I thought we didn't have 7 accepted.
We did. I crossed out those 2 that said no.
I see.
We should have had a good 7 now.
All right, there you go. Alrighty, well, congratulations, ULL. How do you say that?
No. Ultimate Legend Lugia?
Lugia or Lugia?
Lugia or Lugia.
Yay. Going to gladly accept the gift. I'm so glad to hear that.
Good.
So that does, with that lag falling on our face, that does bring us to the end of today's stream. Do you have anything else you want to add before we run away?
Not really.
No.
Just do the things, the 4 things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
what are
magic.
the things? Let's see here. If you go to the internet and you type in